I would love to see the rematch between Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia. But yeah, I think that Manny would beat Keith Thurman easily. I think that's a good fight because it's a top welterweight and it's the kind of fight that Manny should be having if he's going to stay in the game. I think he's got a couple of good fights left. He's been very physically fit, strong and fast in his last couple of fights. I think the Vargas fight showed that Manny can still box, move and punch. He's still in the game. I don't think being above welterweight would be the best thing for him, but welterweight or even junior welterweight would probably be best. I think he can still do well in a couple more fights. Those are the words of trainer Abel Sanchez talking about a potential fight between WBO welterweight world champion and Hall of Famer boxing legend Manny Pacquiao and one of the new crop of top welterweights, Keith one-time Thurman. As you heard there, he believes that Pacquiao would defeat Keith Thurman easily. Now, I respect Abel Sanchez's opinion. He's never short of an opinion. He likes to comment on virtually everything these days. He's kind of a celebrity trainer, almost like the new Freddie Roach. Freddie Roach was never short of an opinion a few years ago. People was always asking him his views on this fight or the other fight. And he was always ruffling people's feathers by some of the things that he came out and said. Abel Sanchez seems to have taken on Freddie Roach's role seamlessly. I have to disagree with Abel Sanchez here in his assessment of Thurman versus Pacquiao. Although I can definitely see a scenario where Pacquiao would be able to beat Thurman, I cannot envisage a scenario where Pacquiao would defeat Keith Thurman easily. I just can't. Pacquiao is an old fighter. He is a small welterweight. He doesn't have anywhere near the work rate that he used to have in his prime. He's still got very good hand speed. His foot speed is not what he used to be. He has decent power at welterweight, but nothing spectacular. I think Keith Thurman hits a lot harder than Manny Pacquiao. I think Keith Thurman is, at this point in time, more fleet-footed than Pacquiao. I think he's able to move around the ring tirelessly almost for 12 rounds. I mean, this guy's been in some tough 12-round contests where he's had to use his feet. He's had to throw a lot of punches against other young fighters like Sean Porter and Danny Garcia. Those kind of tough battles prepare you and ready you in a way that nothing else can. If Keith Thurman and Manny Pacquiao were to fight next, I'd be favoring Keith Thurman in that fight. I would certainly not make Pacquiao a big underdog. I believe he's still very much a major player in the welterweight division. But I believe Keith Thurman's youth, the fact he's been fighting at a very high level in very tough competitive contests would stand him in good stead. And also Keith Thurman's fitness. I think this is something which a lot of people underestimate and not a lot of people talk about. But in terms of physical fitness, Keith Thurman is one of the most impressive fighters in boxing right now. Just look at the Sean Porter fight. Those guys went toe-to-toe, 3 minutes of every round for 12 rounds with no let-up. And Keith Thurman still had energy in the 12th. The Danny Garcia fight was nowhere near as taxing, but still, look at Thurman's movement. Look how fresh he was in the 12th. Pacquiao's a guy who tends to fade down the stretch these days. He has to fight in spurts. He has to conserve his energy. He's not a robot, people. He's a human being. He's pushing 40. When you're pushing 40, I'm sorry, people, but you're not going to have the kind of stamina that you had when you were pushing 30. I don't care who you are. And when you got a guy who's short like Pacquiao, much shorter than Keith Thurman, shorter arms, his legs are not as sprightly as Thurman's are these days. I just don't buy what Abel Sanchez is saying. Pacquiao beating Thurman easily? I don't see it. Pacquiao beating Thurman somehow, some way? Yeah, it's a possibility. But easily, no. I see that as a competitive fight, which I would lean towards Keith Thurman winning. If you disagree, by all means, drop your rationale in the comment section below. Maybe you agree with Sanchez. For whatever stylistic reason, you think Pacquiao would easily defeat Keith Thurman. One of the things which kind of baffles me is when people talk about Pacquiao knocking certain fighters out, certain top fighters out. Unless you're talking about Amir Khan because his chin is so poor, then I really struggle to understand why some people are so emphatic in their view that Pacquiao would knock out certain top welterweights. Pacquiao hasn't scored a knockout in God knows how many years. Who was the last guy he knocked out? We're talking about many, many years ago. So why people think he would knock Keith Thurman out, I have no idea. It's not as simple as hitting a guy on the button. Keith Thurman is a defensively aware fighter. I'm not saying he's a Mayweather in there, but he's defensively aware. He pulls his head away from shots. He rolls and slips and counters and hits back with very hard punches, which Pacquiao would have to be very wary of. I just don't see Pacquiao stopping a Keith Thurman. I don't see him having an easy time with Thurman at all. Again, if you feel different, explain why in the comment section. I'll be very interested to read your comments. If you're coming with some well thought out, rational argument as to why you think Pacquiao beats Thurman easily, I'll be very interested to read it. Maybe you can change my mind. So drop it all below. It's happening, I'm out.